what if your job meant diving into death for a single pearl? Imagine plunging into the dark depths of the Arabian Gulf, lungs burning, sharks circling, all for a glimmering treasure that might never be yours, while your family starves if you fail. Hi everyone, and welcome back to History Calling, where I bring you gripping tales from the past that blend drama, tragedy, and hard truths. Today, we're diving, quite literally, into the harrowing world of Qatar's pearl divers in the 19th and early 20th centuries. These men weren't just workers, they were virtual slaves in a brutal trade that built fortunes on broken bodies and drowned dreams. We'll uncover the gruesome deaths from suffocation, shark attacks, and relentless exploitation, and explore how this forgotten suffering paved the way for Qatar's transformation into an oil powerhouse, a story of unimaginable hardship and astonishing resilience. But was this deadly trade as inescapable as it seemed, or were there darker forces of greed and colonialism at play? Stay tuned to uncover the shocking details, and if you love these deep dives into history's shadows, hit that subscribe button now for more. To truly grasp the tragedy of Qatar's pearl divers, we need to set the scene in the sun-scorched sands of the Arabian Peninsula during the 19th century. This was an era when the Ottoman Empire loomed large over the region, claiming nominal control over Qatar, a small coastal sheikhdom, dotted with fishing villages like Doha and Al-Wakra. Pearls weren't just luxuries, they were the lifeblood of the economy, fueling trade routes that stretched from the Gulf to Europe and India. As one Ottoman trade record from 1875 notes, the pearl beds of Qatar yield treasures beyond measure, but at the cost of many souls lost to the sea. Enter the divers themselves, mostly poor Bedouin Arabs, Africans, and even some from India, bound by a system of debt and coercion that turned free men into indentured laborers. From childhood, boys were trained to hold their breath for minutes, their lungs hardening like leather under the relentless sun. Families often lived in reed huts, scraping by on dates and fish, while the pearling season, from May to September, dictated their fate. The captains, or nakudas, ruled like tyrants, financed by wealthy merchants who pocketed the profits. Here's where myth meets reality. Popular tales romanticize pearls as a noble adventure, but oral histories collected from survivors in the 20th century paint a different picture. As one elderly diver recounted in a 1950s interview preserved by the British Library, "We were not men of the sea by choice. We were chained to it by hunger and the whip of debt." Debunking the myth early, these weren't heroic explorers. They were exploited workers in a system rigged against them. Foreshadowing the horrors ahead, many divers entered the trade knowing their fathers or brothers had perished. Yet poverty left them no escape. The stage was set for a trade that devoured lives, one dive at a time. Now, let's plunge into the heart of this deadly trade, tracing the lives of these divers through a typical pearling season. A grueling cycle of hope, horror, and heartbreak. Picture this. Dawn breaks over the Gulf, the wooden dhow boats creaking under the weight of 20 to 30 men, their skins baked by the salt and sun. The nakuda scans the horizon for promising waters, guided by ancient knowledge of tides and pearl beds. As the boat anchors, the divers, clad only in cotton loincloths and nose clips made from tortoise shell, prepare for the descent. The process was brutally simple, yet terrifying. A diver would tie a stone weight to his foot, grip a rope in one hand, and a basket in the other, then leap overboard. Plummeting 10 to 20 meters deep, he'd scour the seabed for oysters, his vision blurring in the murky depths. "The pressure crushes your ears like a vice," one oral history from a Qatari diver describes, "and the sea whispers lies, promising air that isn't there." They'd surface gasping, only to dive again, up to 50 times a day, for hours on end. But it gets worse. The rise of global demand in the 19th century turned this into an industrial nightmare. European jewelers craved Gulf pearls for their unmatched luster, driving merchants to push divers harder. Ottoman records from the 1890s detail how debts trapped men. A diver might borrow money for food, only to owe his entire season's haul to the captain. Shark attacks were a constant terror. Imagine surfacing to find a fin slicing the water, or worse, feeling jaws clamp down in the abyss. One chilling account from a British consular report in 1905 recounts a diver named Abdullah who lost a leg to a bull shark only to be forced back to work the next season or face rape. Politically, the trade fueled bloodlines. Qatari sheikhs like Jassim bin Mohammed Al Thani navigated Ottoman taxes and British influence, using pearl revenues to assert independence. Yet for the divers, it was endless exploitation. Decompression sickness, or the bends, twisted bodies into agony, leaving men crippled. Why did it happen? Greed and colonialism amplified an ancient practice into a machine of suffering, impacting generations and stunting Qatar's development until oil's arrival. Visually envision grainy photos of emaciated divers hauling ropes, their eyes hollow with exhaustion. These images capture the raw drama better than words. The true climax of this tragic tale unfolds in the depths, where death waited like a shadow. Oxygen deprivation was the silent killer. Divers pushed their limits, blacking out underwater, their limp bodies hauled up by ropes. If revived, they'd cough blood. If not, the sea claimed them forever. His face was blue, eyes staring at nothing. An oral history laments of a fallen comrade, the grief palpable even decades later. Shark attacks brought visceral horror, jagged teeth tearing flesh in a frenzy of blood and bubbles. Ottoman trade logs from 1910 grimly tally losses to the beasts of the deep, with dozens per season. One infamous incident in 1920 saw a boat lose 3 men in a single day to a feeding frenzy, their screams echoing across the waves. Exploitation sealed the fate. Virtual slaves, divers toiled under captains who withheld food and water to toughen them, leading to starvation and disease. Was it deliberate murder? Not always, but the system's indifference was sinister. Debts passed to sons, perpetuating the cycle. Medical speculation from British doctors in the era points to nitrogen narcosis, causing hallucinations, luring men deeper to their doom. Conspiracies whisper of captains cutting ropes to avoid paying shares, though evidence is scant, debunked as folklore born of despair. Tension builds in these stories, a diver's last breath, the rope going slack, the boat's silence broken only by wails. The emotional toll? Families ashore waited, scanning horizons for sails that might return empty. This wasn't fate, it was a man-made abyss. The legacy of Qatar's pearl divers is a haunting reminder of human cost in the pursuit of wealth. Their suffering didn't just end lives, it scarred a society, delaying education and infrastructure until the 1930s oil boom. Qatar's transformation, from pearl-dependent poverty to global energy giant, teaches resilience as oil revenues funded modernization, echoing the diver's endurance. In modern views, this trait appears in museums like Doha's Pearl Qatar, but pop culture often glosses over the brutality. Hollywood romanticizes pearls without the blood. Debunking myths. No, divers weren't free adventurers. They were ensnared by economic chains, as oral histories confirm. In my opinion, this story warns against exploitation in any era. Think modern sweatshops. What do you think? Could such a trade exist today? Comment below. In wrapping up, we've explored the brutal depths of Qatar's pearling trade, from the exploitative system that trapped divers to the gruesome deaths by suffocation, sharks, and debt, culminating in a nation's resilient rise through oil. It's a tragic reminder of ambition's dark side and humanity's capacity for transformation. Thanks for watching and keeping history alive with me. If this gripped you, like, share, and subscribe for more tales of forgotten tragedies. Comment your thoughts below. Have you heard similar stories? Check my playlists on Middle Eastern history or support on Patreon for exclusive content. Link in description. Next video, the cursed jewels of ancient kings.